So whenever you are.
Ryan, are we expecting everyone?
I think we have everybody here that responded, so we're good to go when you are.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I call this meeting of the North Liberty Planning Commission to order, Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. Roll call.
Ahern.
Oh, can you hear me?
Harry? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bathke. Heisler. Keogh.
Here.
Marks.
Here.
Pentecost.
Here.
Tabor.
Here.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll motion to approve. This is Pat.
Second is Jessica.
Motion by Pat, second by Jessica. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, agenda item number 3, the request to approve a preliminary plat on South Jones Boulevard. Staff presentation.
Okay. Okay, so this was the rezoning that we saw not too long ago. This would be the preliminary plat to formally begin the subdivision process. As you recall, residential in the land use plan. This kind of gives you an idea of the zonings in the area. Zoning's actually been changed to RS4 now. We've been through city council. And so now they're looking to put forward the subdivision plat, preliminary plat. Let's just go ahead and take a quick peek at the plat. It kind of shows the existing house and garage. And this would be the secondary lot where a new house would be constructed. This shed's going to have to be removed. We had 2 findings, and we had 5 conditions for recommendations for approval. I won't read all of those, but essentially pertain to right-of-way dedication and construction of improvements that are typical with any subdivision, even a small one like this. So staff recommends approval subject to these 5 conditions, and I have a suggested motion down there as well.
Thank you, Ryan. Is there an applicant's presentation?
I don't see him on the Zoom, Tyler Doran, but pretty straightforward request. So hopefully if there are any technical questions, me and Kevin and Grant could probably answer those.
And were there any other public comments?
Nope, we did not receive any.
Okay, so questions and comments from the commission.
It's quite straightforward. It's what we were expecting to see, so I'm happy with it.
Me too. Yeah, no surprises. The way I have on my phone, I can't see if anyone is like nodding their head. So if you have any questions, speak now because I can't see you.
I don't have any questions.
All right, so may I have a motion for our recommendation to City Council?
Yeah, I'll move that the Planning Commission accept the 2 listed findings and forward the preliminary plat to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. I'll second. Pat.
Motion by Barry, second by Pat. Any further discussion?
I just want to clarify that, Barry, that was with the 5 conditions recommended by city staff.
Did I read that incorrectly?
No, it's probably, I probably wrote it incorrectly. So it would be subject to the 5 listed conditions.
Oh, I did say 2. Yeah, you're right. And I wonder if that's not, yeah, that might have been the way it was written from the first one. So yeah, let me rephrase that. I move the Planning Commission accept the 5 listed conditions and forward the preliminary plat to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. That gonna work? That gonna work?
And can we still use Pat's second motion, or do we need to have another one?
Need to have, even have another one. Even have another one.
I'll second.
Pat, was that you again?
Yes.
Okay. So do we just have the one motion on the table right now, or do we somehow have two?
Well, I believe your first motion is, the second motion is out of order, and you have to discuss the first motion first, which had only two conditions. So I think you'll have to dispose of that first motion and then make a second one if that's what you want to do.
Can I move to call the question and we can just vote it down? Should people choose to vote it down?
Oh, great. I'm the parliamentarian. I should know that. Yes, you can.
Good. I don't have my Robert's rules handy.
Yeah, so am I doing roll call right now and we're all supposed to say no? Or so that we can get to the second one, or no?
I think you can't tell us to say no, but
Oh,
if you
well,
roll call, that will probably be the result.
okay.
The roll call will be okay here.
So do you
Okay.
need a second on the motion to call the question?
Technically, yes.
Yes.
I'll second that one too.
Okay, so we have a motion from Jessica to call the question. Pat, I think that was you again who seconded
Yeah.
that. Great, so roll call.
Tabor,
No.
Pentecost,
No.
Marks,
No.
Keo,
No.
Ahern.
No.
Okay, so now we have the other motion with the 5 conditions. And we had a second on that one. Can I now do roll call for that?
You may.
Okay, so roll call on Barry's second motion with the 5 conditions, which was seconded by Pat. Roll call. Got it.
Pentecost,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Keo,
Aye.
Ahern,
Aye.
Stabur.
Aye.
Fantastic. Teamwork makes the dream work. Nice job, everyone. All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, a request from Watts Group Development for a zoning map amendment. Staff presentation.
Okay, so this is just a summary of the request. Property, it's part of the preserve. Overall parcel 7.87 acres. The developable portion of the property is 3.15. If you're able to spread that density over the entire parcel, you're about less than 4 units to the acre. So it's currently zoned RM8, which is a multi-unit residence district, which allows development of up to 8 units per acre. In this case, they're requesting a down zoning to an RS4 PAD. And the purpose for the PAD is to allow flexibility of use. So these and dimensional requirements. So this would be 26 single-family units on one lot. Some setback reductions, both internally and along Oak Terrace Avenue. Essentially, to have a 15-foot front yard setback with walkways connecting to the public sidewalk and rear-loaded garages. Kind of a more of a neo-traditional type style of development. In some respects, pretty similar to what we saw in Vintage Estates on Jones. Future land use map is residential. So residential use of the property would be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Here's the current zoning map, kind of shows a mixture of zonings kind of throughout that represents the preserve. We did send out letters to property owners within 200 feet of the property, notify them the August 18th good neighbor meeting. We held that via Zoom. We had 6 people attended. I think they were just more curious about the development. The abutting property owner to the north was unable to connect via Zoom, but I did send them copies of plans and said, if you have any input, please provide it to me, and none was received. The approval standards are section 168.12, that's the PAD, and section 165.042, and that's the site plan requirements. So we've been reviewing the site plan for the past several months. And so kind of what you see is kind of that back and forth from a review standpoint. Has an access on Denison, has an access on Oak Terrace. This would be a private drive, essentially, not a public street. And then you'd have these units kind of fronting on Oak Terrace, and the ones back here kind of fronting on that private drive. So we are asking that the design standards that you would normally have for a single family house apply here. And so we did have 3 findings, and we did recommend approval of it, subject to 9 conditions. So looks like I forgot to write that again. So when you're ready to make a motion, I'll provide a clarification on what staff's doing. But so happy to answer any questions. And I know Adam Hahn is on the Zoom meeting as well. He's with the Watts Group.
Thanks, Ryan. So applicant's presentation?
Sure. Thanks, everybody. First I want to thank staff for taking time. We've been working through this concept for quite a while, and the events of this year have maybe made it what we hope is even more attractive style living. It's more of a condo concept, but single family living. So we had COVID hit, and all of a sudden people that maybe were considering moving into a multifamily setting or back into a multifamily setting started considering staying in their single family residence longer, but then they still don't want to maybe have to take care of everything outside. So this concept, we've kind of been mulling it over, and we have it going in Tiffin in a subdivision, and are having some good success over there. And we think it'd be really great for North Liberty. Like Ryan had said, we've got lots on each side of that private drive. Some of them have really nice front porches that then front onto Oak Terrace, while the others will have really nice back porches that open up right to our pond on Kansas. So we are really excited, and as it said here, we're actually reducing the potential density of this lot. So I'm here for any questions that the Planning and Zoning Commission might have.
Thank you. Were there any other public comments?
No.
Okay. All right, questions, comments from the commission?
I just have a question about how it's written up, because it says that there would be multiple single family residences on one lot. Are the lots subdivided so that they just become smaller lots? Or is that property somehow co-owned by the 2 owners? Like, I'm not sure I understand what's happening.
So think of it as a like if you were to buy a unit inside of a 12-plex, you own everything inside the walls. Outside of that, you pay into an HOA that maintains the outside of your home, the lawns, everything, sidewalks, snow removal, all of that.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
I appreciated the size of these. I like seeing some smaller homes, not as many big ones. So I appreciate seeing those. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Hey, Ryan, can you walk us through any of the differences between this PAD development and the one that's there up on north on Jones Boulevard? I mean, are there major differences? Are you looking to require different things here than there?
Back to.
And while I'm at it and you're finding that, I mean, is parking going to be an issue here? I mean, there's no additional off driveway parking anywhere on the private drive. So, if people are having visitors and such, is that a concern that the city has, that parking is going to get a little tight in that area? Or are we just expecting folks to park on Oak Terrace, or?
Yeah, so let me answer your first question about similarities. Obviously, Vintage Estates just kind of had one way in, had a looping street, but it's the same concept. And I'll be honest with you, now that we've received 2 of these, that kind of makes me pause and say, well, is there something we need to do to fix the code? I think this would be a perfectly acceptable product in a multifamily zoning that would just be allowed, instead of having to go through this process and varying the code to allow multiple single family residences on one lot. So that's the answer to that question. But overall, it's fairly similar. I would say this site feels a little tighter because the upland portion of the property is smaller. But they don't have to provide stormwater features because they've got the pond directly adjacent to them. Parking is definitely something we talked about. So right now there's no parking on Denison, and there's no parking on the side of Oak Terrace where their development is. So it was definitely something we talked about. Now what the code requires is 2 parking spaces per unit. This is a two-stall car garage. And then what we also required is that for units that have fronting on that private drive there, that they have a minimum of 19 feet, just so a car would be able to park, at least 2 more cars could park on the driveway. So that hopefully will answer your question, but there's no kind of parking, an outlier for better purposes just for parking. So it's definitely something we talked about. And the Oak Terrace, there would be one side parking on that street.
Okay. I mean, I love the concept, right? I really like the idea of having the single family homes. And I think you're right. I think maybe we could address this in the code and not have to have this be sort of this other-ish development, because I think this is going to be quite popular. But the private drive is going to be a smaller road than what a standard city street is going to be. I can just see that there could be some concern with parking. I don't know. In my opinion, it would just be nice if there was some sort of an off parking lot or something if someone wanted to have people over or such, because I'm assuming that that's going to happen at some point. And I mean, I don't know how much back and forth you had with the developer on this, on concerns for parking, but there's a lot of lots, or not lots, homes built into this with just no overflow. So I know it's a concern that we have in multifamily development as well. I just want to make sure that that the city is comfortable with the compromises that were made.
Yeah, and to be honest, we did talk about it quite a bit. And actually, they actually had one more unit kind of wedged in there, and Adam ended up removing that unit to help space things out a little bit. And we talked about that green space being potentially a parking lot or a parking area, but I think I would feel less comfortable moving forward if these units on this private drive had, say, a 15-foot setback, because then you're really in a big trouble with people wouldn't even be able to park on the driveway. But and there's other things we can talk about. There's no driveways on this side of the development, so it may make more sense to have on-street parking on this side of Oak Terrace as opposed to the other side. So we'll continue to have those conversations.
Brian, did you have a conversation with the developers regarding your recommendation number 3? Is there a plan in place to make that happen, or what's that? What that's going to look like?
Number 3 is typically what we'll see for this one, and this was the same condition that we had for Vintage Estates, right? We just want to make sure we have the proper easements in place, prior to the completion. So kind of as you view this site plan, it's kind of in concept form. It is to a level of constructability, but as we get closer to, actual building permits and things like that, we're going to want to have that easement in place.
Okay. But the room is there now, as far as you're concerned. Okay.
Yep.
This would be for granting permission for the city to enter onto the properties to conduct city business.
Understood. Okay, I understand. Yeah, and that's what, and I wondered too if it had anything to do with. I assume based on the drawings that there's not going to be, I mean, there's really not a possibility to park on the private drive. Right. And so getting emergency vehicles in and out on that private drive is not a concern.
Yep. Well, and we have, as part of this development, they will be installing no parking signs
Okay.
along the private drive. Yep.
Okay.
Fire marshal was involved in this review as well.
I assume that was the case. I just want to make sure that I understood how that conversation went, because that's, I hate to see them have to pull another unit out of there if it was, what I mean, if we had, just get past this point. So.
Yeah, part of the agreement with the overall preserve development is that the city has the right to ticket and tow on private drives there.
Okay.
Okay, just because my brain obviously wasn't working late last week, my suggested motion is the planning condition accept the 3 listed findings. So we provided findings just to show that the site plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan, that the use and density would be compatible with the area, and that with the recommended changes, it would meet those 2 sections I referenced. So just to clarify, it would be Planning Commission accept the 3 listed findings and forward the zoning map amendment with the 9 listed conditions to the City Council with recommendation for approval. So I will stop sharing at this point.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion for our recommendation to City Council?
So Kylie here, I'll move that the Planning Commission accept the 3 listed findings and forward the zoning map amendment with the 9 listed conditions recommended by city staff to the City Council with the recommendation for approval.
This is Pat. I'll second.
Motion by Kylie, second by Pat. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call. Oh,
I think
Did we
Ms.
lose?
is working on it.
You're on mute, Tracy.
She's working on it.
When you have 3 screens going at once, it's really hard to get the mouse to the microphone. And it won't let me use the space bar. So Marks,
Yay.
Staber,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Pentecost,
Aye.
Keo.
aye. Excellent, motion passes. Approval of previous minutes.
Why?
Say it again.
We'll need a motion.
Yeah.
I motion to approve the previous minutes.
Seconded?
I think that was a motion by Pat, second by Jessica.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, was there any old business? Any new business? All right, that's a big no. All right, if there isn't anything else, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn. Pat.
I'll second. This is Barry.
Motion by Pat, second by Barry. All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Aye.